What's going on, Workforce? Brian here, and today I am very happy to introduce to you Rorycon. You and I do a podcast together over on Epically Radio Ginger Prime, but also a consummate Final Fantasy fan. Rory, why don't you plug yourself? Tell people who you are in case I am honored enough to actually be introducing you to the Final Fantasy XIV community. Like, you sir are a legend, dude. You're a legend.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the kind words. I basically play a lot of Monster Hunter, Dark Souls, but in 2019, I got really into Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, that's kind of like the story with me in 14. Because once I started playing it, because the thing is, I started playing it like you would play World of Warcraft. So I would pick up all of the quests and then do them all in a row. And that's a terrible way to play 14. And then eventually, I played it by just doing the MSQ, and it is now my favorite story in video games, period, and my favorite MMO ever, and it's not even close, which is weird because I have way more playtime in WoW. So, yeah.
Well, this is a perfect fitting spot because Chris Guys is out on vacation, so note that he will be back on Wednesday, so you'll start seeing him in his face back here on stream and on YouTube. So just note that we've got a lineup of guests kind of lined up to kind of fill the spot. So Rory is playing the role of Chris today, and it's good that he's got WoW experience because
it's actually
good.
It's actually really interesting because Chris is kind of like a man out of my own heart, from what I can tell, because he plays all of the tanks, which is my favorite role. Mm-hmm. So like both in WoW and in 14, like I love playing tanks, so it's actually very appropriate.
And the other thing that's happening is I'm also here on dad duty, so if there's weird jump cuts in today's video, note that it's because things and shenanigans have come up, and it's just been a crazy busy time. So thank you, Rory, for coming in and filling in this epic role for this epic week as we build to FanFest. The general questions that we're talking about today really is what are we excited about most for FanFest? And Rory, before when I asked you to kind of see if you would be available to step in and help me make a video, you're like, I haven't played since 5.5. And I thought that's a great perspective. That's a great perspective. A lot of people probably feel that same way. Will FanFest, do you think any specific announcement will have you logging in at least semi-regularly this coming after this weekend?
It's like, here's the thing, that the main reason why I haven't logged in though is because I've been working. Mm-hmm. And, you know, as content creators, a big part of our job is basically playing games as we create content. And there's just been a lot of stuff happening in the Monster Hunter sphere that I just kind of like been super busy creating content for that. And it's been very hard to log back into 14 because I want to, like, I really want to go and do the near raid more to get more gear for my paladin, because I'm kind of like collecting all of the near armors because I really like them. But I've been super unlucky. Like, I did the near raid, I think 3 or 4 times since 5.5, and I haven't seen a single tank drop. It's just like, how does that even happen? What is going on?
Dude, it knows. It knows. It's like, okay, he's here. We got to just keep that hook going. I'm so impressed by the content, the battles, and the near raid brought. But I tell you, hands down, I'm playing near replicant. I think heavily because of the near raid itself. My wife are sitting down and playing replicant, and then when we just got introduced, I'm not going to ruin names, to the first real female character, very scantily clad, beautiful looking young woman, and my wife goes, "What the hell is she wearing?" I think I could see her butthole. And beyond that statement, of course, I was telling the story to chat on a stream, and they're like, "That's so she can. That's a cooling mechanism. They wear less clothes so they can keep cool." I was like, "Yeah, that's true." So freaking hilarious. But I do appreciate that. Honestly, it makes me excited more for Endwalker to see what new raid series we're gonna get, what the Pandemonium, what that's going to look like, the lore implications, because you said that Final Fantasy XIV is like your favorite MMO, the story and how you kind of changed your approach to it, I think are all real key things that I think a lot of people here can relate to. I think Chris can relate to you very heavily in that aspect because you both come from WoW. You were trained in one way to play, and then all of a sudden 14 says, yeah, you can do that. We're not going to stop you, but whatever. You know, like, go ahead.
And there's an interesting thing, which is, despite the fact that I've only done like raids on normal, and I don't think I've done any of the current extremes when they were relevant, but like from the mechanics and the way that they introduce people to raiding, I just think it's so superior to the way that they do it in WoW. Because like a lot of times you'll hear players complain in WoW, like, "Oh my God, so many people, they don't know these basic mechanics." Yeah, why is it that all of these people seem to be able to understand that in 14? And yet they can't do it in WoW, because 14 does a much better job of teaching you those mechanics as you are leveling up through dungeons, through whatnot. It's not like oh, here's this completely mechanic out of the blue that we never told you about. It's like most of the mechanics have been explained and have been presented to you in certain ways. And so it becomes kind of just like, oh, this is how we deal with this one. And you just kind of learn. So that was really, really good.
From the raid series though, like one of the things they'll do is they'll introduce a mechanic as a part of a raid, and then in a later expansion you'll see that mechanic come into a dungeon and maybe a lesser degree. So I do appreciate that. Like the more content that you do, the more educated overall you're going to be by the whole system in and of itself. Now I do actually forgot to say that, guys, Ruricon's gonna have his link to his content in the description or title of both of this video. So be sure, if you guys aren't following him, click on his link, go give him a follow. Honestly, just really solid, fantastic dude. And I'm so happy that we've become friends over these last couple of months. We've done a couple collabs together, you and me, and I'm really happy to bring you on to work the game for this. But I want to ask,
I'm happy to be here.
I want to shift to a poll that we had up on the channel this week, and basically asking what people are most excited about in terms of the battle system changes to Endwalker. And I'm going to list off what people voted for, give you the percentages, and then I'd like your raw take on basically, is this shocking or what you would ultimately vote for in this case. But what are we most excited about? Chat says, or community says, healer role rework is at 30%. So 30% of the voters, over almost 3,000 votes here, are excited for a rework to the healing role. The stat squish, 8% are excited for that, which is interesting. That actually, for me, right now, most shocking. I was like, oh, I didn't think anybody would be like, yeah, stat squish. But some people are. For the Sage, the new healer job specifically, 14% weighing in on that.
Only 14?
14%. I think it's official, fair. It's 14%. Like 14, this is Final Fantasy 14. And then what's the blowout here? The winner, like by not even a fair margin. A Reaper, Templar Necro, new melee DPS. I just kind of listed the three popular themes. We will know on Saturday, like 4 days from now, we will know what the official title for this job is. 42%. 42%.
I'm not surprised that people would be most excited for a DPS. People do seem to prefer DPSs when it comes to playing, which I always find interesting because people always tell me that they don't want the responsibility of tanking. And I'm always like, I think DPSers have a much higher responsibility. If you guys don't deal enough damage, the kind of doesn't get done. I can just sit there and slack, and it's not really a problem. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's a psychological thing, hands down. Because the hardest thing in this game is the DPS role, like the hardest thing, because you're gonna be responsible for stuff, and it's like, I think it's the fact that you, like, from getting started, you can let like the tank go first and you can kind of be there following along and just killing who you need to. But once you shift into that real savage content, you got to bring your A game. And there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I don't like to be exclusionary, but when I run savage, it's like you got to clear at least the target dummy. Otherwise, you're asking people to carry 15%, 20%, 25% of what is expected of you. And it becomes where it's a whole different mindset. Normal content and backwards, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter at all. DPS at that point, it's like, you got it. Like, everybody needs to be paying attention. So it's a whole different game.
It is a completely different game. And it's the healer rework that is happening. That's mostly, we're talking about Astro, right?
Yes. Astro is shifting to what we're going to define as a pure healer. But
pure healer, yeah. The
healer also rework kind of encompasses that White Mage Astro, or this pure healer aspect, Sage and Scholar. I don't know why I was blanked on that. I miss Scholar. I really want to come back to Scholar. I'm just going to put it out there right now. I've been white maging this whole expansion. But they're going to go into that barrier healer role. And so it's kind of, it's getting away from this homogenization that we had over Shadowbringers, where it's like every healer can kind of do everything. And guess what? When that happens, everybody's just going to pick what's the better one, ultimately. Yeah. I still see Scholars out there.
White Mage.
Yeah. I still see Scholars out there. I still see Astrologians out there. I leveled them all up. I get it. But when I right now, when it's like, what do you want to play? White Mage. Yeah, and that's just me. I'm speaking for myself and probably a good person in the community.
The latest one that I was, because I actually experimented with healers, because that's like the second thing that I like doing. And I first leveled up an Astro, and then I leveled up a Scholar, because I thought Scholar was going to be easier. But when you get to the higher levels, it's like, no, wait, actually Scholar's way worse. So I was actually going back to the Astro again, and I think Astro is probably going to be my main pick when it comes to healing. I know that the White Mage is probably better, and I love, as a tank, I love seeing White Mages in my party because like I'll just pull everything, and then everything gets stunned, and is like not a problem in the world. So it's great.
All right, cool. We're gonna bring in Elizabeth. Come here, sweetie. Come here. All right, she did as good as she could do. I don't know if I'll have to cut that because we'll hopefully 2 seconds of a baby fussing isn't a big deal. Oh, it's here's Elizabeth.
You.
Hey,
hello.
Elizabeth.
Hello.
What are you most excited for FanFest?
Look at her face. She's like scared of him. She's like, oh my God, who's that person on your monitor?
There's another bearded man. I don't understand humans.
Click away from that ad, Daddy. Click away.
She's just looking over all the screen. So would it be fair to say that you would have voted for the healer rework as the thing you're most excited about, or is there anything goes? Because you can pick from this list. The fifth option was other. Sound off in the comments, and 5% of the people picked other.
I probably would have went for other because I'm more excited to see. I'm more excited to see like changes in like 4-man content. That is what I would like to hear the most for. I mean, we always talk. I always hear you guys talk about Mythic Plus whenever you bring this up, and it's like I would like their interpretation. Yeah, I would like their interpretation of a Mythic Plus, basically, because that's my favorite content in WoW, right? Because when it comes to dungeons right now, I actually think that the last one was actually interesting, the one that they introduced with 5.5, because it does things a little bit different. There's a couple of monsters that pop up and whatnot. It's not like the traditional, get 2 packs, hit a wall, kill everything, get 2 packs more, hit another wall, kill everything again. Every now and then you would see a monster come up from somewhere and whatnot. Like that introduced a little bit more dynamic to it, and I thought it was cool. And that I think the last pull in that dungeon, I always see myself going pretty low, which gets a little bit more interesting because dungeons I feel like are still fairly basic. I think that was one of the criticisms that, who was his name? I forget. It was that creator that quit. Damn it, I forget. But he would say that dungeons are super simple. Yeah, Lynx.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kamali. You would say that dungeons are super simple, and I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. I still like doing them, but I wish that there was a little bit more to it because that's the content that I like the most. Like I love the raids and all that, but I don't have enough time to really commit to like a static to go do it savage and a normal. Normal is fun, but it's not really that challenging. So the thing that I would like to see is like more challenging 4-man content.
Yeah, so I'm building my own static. So guys, sound off in the comments below what you get, what class you want to see, what job you want to see Elizabeth take on here in about 10 years. You think you'll be ready in 10? So we'll see here. By the time 12.0 starts rolling out, Elizabeth's will be ready to rock and roll with dear old dad as we get ready. Clear your homework, and then we got some dungeon grinding and we got some raiding to do. My hope, the idea, and this is just my bouncing off the wall because they did talk about how they're looking to bring back like deep dungeon style content in that regards. My hope is that take the deep dungeon mindset and then pull from all of the dungeons that we've already gotten. We're almost at 100 dungeons. I think with this expansion, even if they do the basic leveling dungeons and then a new dungeon per patch, I think we'll easily clear over 100, if not super close to the number. I don't have the exact number memorized. But with all that, like think about every floor just taking like a section out of some dungeons, maybe a little bit mix and match, just so you have like this different aesthetic and theme. And I don't know, put some kind of weekly challenge in the game that it's like, hey, go do it. And this week, here are the modifiers that are going to mess with you. And just something, because as much as the, people I think want more 4-man, kind of a little bit challenging content. The thing with the dungeons themselves is that once you get used to them, they just become a chore. And I'd like to see some level of variety, because I think variety is the spice of life. I think when you sit here and like, it's good to have something that people know what to do. It's a good thing. But our expert roulette is still 2. Just add in the rest of the 80 dungeons. I don't know, just something that makes it a little bit. I don't know what I'm running, but I know I'm not speaking for the community, because I know there are people who love that aspect with the game itself. That they know like it's 1 of 2 dungeons. They don't have to worry about it. It's kind of like they're able to get in, get the thing done, and then move on with their lives.
I used to love getting the dungeon that you wouldn't get that often. It wasn't I think it was like 2 patches ago or something. The Amarot dungeon. I don't know what the exact name of it is. The one where Amarot's exploding and there's comets falling down. It's Amarot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that dungeon, I love that dungeon, and you would barely ever see it. Like I love the music of that dungeon. I love the memories I have of the story of that dungeon. And it's like you would barely ever play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I loved playing that one, despite the fact that I think most people didn't, because you would rarely see anybody queue for it unless they had to. Usually you would get like people that it was their first time there and whatnot. And it's the thing was also like it would be so rare that when you got to the final boss, I wouldn't even remember the tactics.
That first boss though, that worm boss with like the meteors and the whole like level and all the stuff, like that was actually still to this day, like man, like wow, this is a lot of movement. A lot of movement.
But it's cool. That's the thing that I like about it. It's like there's just so many mechanics involved in those bosses.
Elizabeth agrees. All right, Rory, I think that's really kind of the time that we have for this video. Like obviously lots of stuff happening over the course of this week. Is there anything that you want to kind of say as kind of a final thought to what you're hoping for FanFest? Again, like these aren't like we try to keep our videos like 15 to 20 minutes. So, so we're right there.
I think I want to see, like I said, the thing that I really want to see is the 4-player content, but it'd be cool to also see what a little bit more information about that system that they're doing. I forget the name, the little farm thing that they had going.
Yeah,
I'm very curious to see what that's
or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what that is going to end up being, because I'm always interested in things that are not just the combat. Like, you love the combat stuff, but I'm also interested in some of the overlying things that are not crafting, because crafting, I already know in 14 is just not for me to do. It's like crazy. I leveled up a crafter just to do the dwarf quests, and I love that the dwarf quests are the best beast tribe in the whole damn game as far as I'm concerned. But yeah.
Get that tank mount. Absolutely. Well, Rory, where can people find you?
People can find me at youtube.com/Rurikon. And right now I'm still working on a lot of content for Monster Hunter Rise, but I will probably, actually, I think the FanFest is like at 3 a.m. my time, so I probably won't stream that, but I will probably also do something covering FanFest. I did something covering patch 5.5 when it hit, because I really enjoyed the story in there and stuff. So yeah.
And we're going to get the second half finally and see what's going on. Yep. To the moon, baby. To the moon.
To the friggin' moon.
To the friggin' moon, guys. Be sure to follow Rory if you don't already. I'll include his contact and information is in this video. Be sure to give him and say hello. If you've never seen his content, go and say hi. I'm new, so that way he knows that at least I was so lucky to introduce a full-time content creator. Honestly, one of the best. The guy who actually got me to play some Monster Hunter Rise. So I'm just kind of plugging away.
Did you buy it?
I didn't buy it. I've been playing the demo.
Okay,
I've been playing the demo. Okay. I'm so lost, and I'm like, I got to go hit up some of his videos. So just note that will be. I'll keep plugging away. My main limitation is time. I've been doing an alpha test for Swords of Legends Online,
imagine.
And that's like, okay, well, timing wise, and I'm like, okay, I can only do so much. I'm not gonna stress myself out. But anyway, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. For Work to Game, my name is Brian. That's Rory. Be sure to be cool. I have no way to really end this. This is a whole new thing we're doing.
Listen. Let me tell you. Yeah. Stay strong. Stay safe. Peace out.